Over the last few months, we've heard about this quiet quitting. It took social media by storm and encouraged employees to reclaim their time in the workplace. But the term doesn't just apply to our careers.
No, it does not. While dating can feel like a part-time and sometimes a full-time job, if you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, I hear you, with swiping left, it might be time to quiet quit your dating life. Joining us this morning to explain is dating expert Alyssa Dineen. Hello, and
Good morning
thank
again,
you.
Alyssa. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All I can say is I'm
Glad I'm not doing this.
so glad I'm not dating. But I know I've been in that world. It's not for the faint of heart.
It's not fun.
Yeah, it's true.
So how do we apply this quiet quitting to quiet quitting dating?
What does it
What does that
mean?
mean?
Yeah, I know.
In
So
this
it's actually
relative world.
not what you would think it means. It's not just bowing out of dating. It's actually just being more intentional and more strategic and doing your homework ahead of time.
Right.
Meaning writing down qualities that are actual deal breakers, not
Right.
just being, not just picky and nice to have, but your actual deal breakers, and really committing to that and staying on course, basically. And it's more like quitting the rat race of dating. You know what I mean?
It's almost like slowing down,
Yes.
sort of, and reassessing, hitting the pause button, maybe a reset button, that type of thing.
Right,
You're not
yeah.
totally quitting the dating
No,
idea.
exactly.
Okay.
Just being more intentional
More
and
intentional.
mindful.
Okay.
Because I thought, well, does quiet quitting dating mean you're just going to ghost
Yeah, you ghost
your,
people.
your
That's what
partner?
it sounds
Right.
like.
You know what? I'm going to
No.
block you. I'm not going to talk
That's
to you
another
anymore.
issue for another
Yeah,
subject.
right.
I know. Yeah, we could go on and on
Absolutely.
about ghosting, but no.
So what steps do you need, therefore, to be successful in quiet quitting?
So, like I said, really doing your homework ahead of time, and that might be, actually literally journaling about your, things that you really, really need to have, and then things that are nice to have, and being realistic about that, and, not being too picky, but
Right.
just your real deal breakers.
Right. For example, so I have a girlfriend who lives in New York, and she is having a great time with this guy she met on an app, but he lives in Texas.
Oh.
And she said,
it's 1,500 miles.
I know, she's like, is it a deal breaker? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, do you guys have frequent flyer points? Is that something
Right.
we're talking about?
Yeah,
or-
well, that can be. I mean, if that's a deal breaker for her, in other words, some people wouldn't mind that going back and forth,
Right.
but some people, that's a lifestyle choice that they don't want to engage in.
Right.
So it's kind of like stopping yourself before you get too involved with someone who ultimately isn't going to be your long-term partner.
So when you're trying to set these realistic goals, it's really more of a self-examination. Like,
Yes.
give us some tips on how to do that. What we should be looking
Definitely.
about ourselves first.
Yeah, well, so it's, looking at what things are really important to you in your lifestyle, and for a long-term partner. We can all find someone that we're really attracted to who's fun in the moment or for a few months, but if you're really looking for a long-term partner, really looking at someone who fits that, and not just someone who looks good in the moment
Right.
and on your arm.
A shiny penny.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. A good plus one, but
Right.
not long.
But they don't always have to
Exactly.
be a mirror reflection of us either, because maybe we're not so interesting and we'd find somebody more interesting than us, and that'll be a good thing.
No,
you
in
know?
fact, sometimes that's not a good thing to find an exact copy of yourself.
Right.
But also, I recommend, writing down these qualities and actually checking in with a friend, or maybe it's your therapist or your mom or something, but
Yeah.
somebody who knows you really well, and making sure you're being realistic about your,
point, yeah.
your home.
And I guess
your
that's
goals.
the point I'm trying to figure out. What is realistic? And I know it's being realistic is different for different people. Like, I'm not going to date anyone in Brooklyn because I live in Queens or whatever.
Yes,
But,
right.
but I wonder if you could give us something concrete about what being realistic means.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's somebody who's not over their ex if they're, newly separated or divorced, or maybe it's somebody, again, who travels too much, or maybe it's somebody who, parties too much with their friends. But when you're together, it might be great, but maybe that bothers you. And
Right.
for some people, that wouldn't bother them, but
Right.
for some people, it does, and especially long term.
Right.
Alyssa, all great
Yeah.
tips.
Really,
If you want
truly.
to do some quiet quitting in your dating world, I think good advice.
Thank you.
Very, very
Thank
good
you.
advice. It's always great to see you.
Yeah.